Joseph W. Brady's update on Victor Valley College developments is largely favorable and positive, despite beginning by confirming this spring's graduation ceremony will be like last year's.
Unfortunately. So we will have all the staff back. I believe the date is May 10th. All staff will be back on May 10th, which is right around the corner. I will tell you this, between Dr. Walden and John Nolan and Todd Scott and the entire leadership team, I mean, we've got a great leadership team. Number one is getting the students back. And then they will then be integrating students, how they come back and what classes that they will do and things like that. So the plans for the Educational Conference Center are at the state right now, and they've been submitted. So they hope to get those back sometime in the next couple months so they can start the bidding. They hope to have the bidding done by December of this year, and construction starts shortly thereafter. So that's really a very exciting process. I would tell anybody that is watching this that knows a general contractor on up here, or knows of people that are in the electrical, mechanical, structural, concrete, whatever, to get a hold of the college and be sure that your name's on the list to be able to bid projects like this. One of the major issues in the 2006 campaign for the bond, which is a $298 million bond, was that we would hire as much local talent as we could to build these projects. Well, unfortunately, in the last round, in the last project that was awarded last month at the board meeting, only 7% of that money is staying here because we only had a very few amount of contractors that bid. So I think the leadership of the college got the message that there were some of us on the board that were concerned. All the board members were concerned about it. I voted against the awarding of this contract to a company I think it's called Park West out of Redlands. Had nothing to do with Park West. It had to do with the fact that I live here, I work here, I want to keep my money here, my taxes are paid here, and I want to be sure that we are using every bit of high desert Mojave River Valley construction companies that we can. I think we also realized after the 2008 downturn that a lot of them left. So we're kind of in that quandary. So Park West is working on, I think, building 50, 52, and 55. They're doing some major rehab work on that. So one of the buildings, 55, is where President Walden is. That building's getting entire gutted. A lot of these buildings need to be updated to be really more functional, and to be sure that we have better technology, better floor plans, more functional, that they really work for our staff and our students. I mean, that's if the buildings are not well laid out, then they don't work well for your staff or your students, and so they're spending a lot of time they don't need to. So, things are great.
As this conversation progresses, Joseph W. Brady is asked to share some of his basic principles, ingredients to success, if you will.
Well, Terry, I wish I could tell you that when we started down this path, when Deb and I started down this path, that it was easy. It wasn't. I stumbled. I made some good decisions. I made some bad decisions. The bad decision that it ultimately impacted a lot of us, and you remember this, was the closure of George Air Force Base. That cost the high desert of the Mojave River Valley at the time, when we had a population base of about 175,000 people, $1 billion. Okay. So I learned from that. Have I stubbed my toes? I've stubbed my toes a million times. Have I had people try to come after me for whatever reason? Absolutely. Have I turned down money from people that have said, if you'll sign, and I'll never forget this one. There was a highway that was on a piece of paper north of George Air Force Base. Okay, I still call it George. Okay, and it was coming in from the east, from west east, and a gentleman came to my office. I mean, we were broke. I mean, we were broke, and he came in and he had an envelope and it had $5,000 cash. And he said to me, if you'll approve this letter, I can't remember what the deal was. At the end of the day, it was, if you'll do this, I'll give you this $5,000. And I said to him, you can't buy me. So from a principal standpoint, I've lost a lot of money because I've dug my heels in on value. So one of the principles I've always kept is being candid and honest. It's cost me. It's cost me friends. It's cost me clients. At one time, Deb and I had calculated a couple of years ago, I probably lost, $3 million by not telling the client what they wanted to hear. I kiddingly laugh sometimes, and I do this in tongue in cheek. But I have said to many people, I'd rather be the first love, the second spouse, or the third broker. Okay. So by principle, I've learned not to jump at something. My job is to say, Terry, the value of your property is X. Okay. And here's why. Francisco does an incredible job in the office. I don't think there's anybody in the high desert that does comparables as good as he does. There's no company, I think, up here that spends the amount of money that we do, okay, on doing that. So when I sit on down and I sign that letter and I say to you and Rebecca, this is what the value of your property is, I can go to court. Okay, I feel really good. Another thing that I'm really principled on, and it was something my dad kind of beat into me because I was one of those kids that blamed everybody. I blamed every kid. I was always in trouble. That's why I ended up in a military school when I was in 7th grade. So my big deal today, and I say this to fellow elected officials, I say it to friends, actions speak louder than words. So I listen to what people say, and it's like a lot of our elected officials. They say one thing and they do something else. Okay? So I'm very, very principled about actions speak louder than words. And again, has that cost me? Yeah, it's cost me. I feel, I'm lucky. As I've told you, I was run over by a 2-ton truck, 26 kids in the back, on August 16th of 1966 on a little dirt road, Gazos Creek, up in Northern California, about 30 miles north of Santa Cruz. Every day I look at the scar on my chest. It's about 18 inches long. And I know that I've got a free day. So telling people the truth is not tough. The results of when they get mad at you because you're doing that does bother me. But I've learned to live within my skin to just say, well, that's the way it was. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your spouse. Be honest with your friends. You and I are friends. We can agree to disagree, but our friendship's never going to go. But in the world we live in today, that's not the way people are. If they don't like your political views, they don't like you at all. And so I think it's kind of stupid. So, hard work. I think being honest with yourself. Actions speak louder than words. Don't use excuses. It is what it is. Center yourself with people smarter than you. So one of the things that we've always done, all the consultants that we have are smarter than me. The brokers, the brokers I do the best with are the brokers down below, and a couple even on up here, who are smarter than I am. They're more astute. Because at the end of the day, we're only passing through. We're only passing through for 80, 90 years, and who really cares? But no, surround yourself with smart people. Not everybody wants to do that because some people want to center themselves with people that are not. That makes them feel good. You know what? When I was a good golfer, I played really well when I played with somebody that was better. When I was a good basketball player, I always played better when I was playing somebody better. You're athletic. You were athletic. I mean, you were a quarterback. So you understand being around people that are better than you. But some people, I think they have a hard time with it. I don't know why. I kind of rise to the occasion. I kind of like it. Yeah. So, and you know what? You can't take it with you. So there's, I think that one of the things that I have learned, and I learned it through that big run that we did. People couldn't understand why I was driving a Camry when we were making a lot of money. Because you know what? I don't want to show it. I don't think it's important. And like Deb, she's just selling now a 2006 Toyota Avalon Limited, 275,000 miles, and it wasn't like she couldn't afford a car. But you know what? That's Deb. She's never been extravagant. You walk in our house, it feels warm, but she's not one that has ever wanted to keep. She doesn't care about Joneses. If you got a great house, hey, great, but that's not how she is. I came from a neighborhood that you kind of had to keep up with the Joneses, but Deb brought me down especially during the 90s when we were broke. I mean, we were broke, so yeah, so it all works out, Terry.